I always knew that I wanted to have children, but it wasn't until I met Jeffrey and married Jeffrey that I knew how much I wanted to have children and how much I wanted for Jeffrey to be their father. It ended up taking us 3 years. We tried on our own for probably 1.5 years, and then 1.5 years of going through different testing and some fertility options with 1 miscarriage, and then we got pregnant.
She had twins, which is not unusual with the infertility drugs that we use today. When I first saw her, unfortunately, it appeared that she was losing one of the 2 twins.
We had an ultrasound done at 15 weeks of pregnancy. When Dr. Moore looked at the screen, he kind of had a puzzled look on his face. And
what I expected to see was the remaining twin growing nicely, and the vanishing twin basically vanished. But what I saw instead made my heart sink. In the place of where the original vanishing twin was, there was a placenta that was basically 3 times larger than the remaining pregnancy. In my 30 years of delivering babies, and that's 7,000 pregnancies, I have only seen 2 cases like this. When we diagnose a molar pregnancy, we immediately know what the natural history of that disease is, and in this case, how potentially awful the results could be. That is what is behind the secular world's statement, you need to terminate the pregnancy because there's no hope. But of course, as Christians, we know there's always hope.
We were going to continue this pregnancy. There was not an option for us. We began calling people, and they'd say, what can you do? What can we do for you? Pray.
We even set up a website to tell them specifically what to pray for. And the response we got was extremely overwhelming.
Like you've never been loved on so much. We would get emails from people over in Europe, people in Africa, people that I didn't know saying, I heard from a friend of a friend that this is what you're going through, and we're praying for you.
The reason this is so serious is that those types of pregnancies involving molar pregnancies have a tremendous potential for hemorrhage, which can be, of course, threatening to the remaining baby, but even more so, could be life-threatening to the mother.
During all this, I was definitely thinking about baby names. That was about as far as I would go, though. I didn't want to have a shower. I didn't want to get her room ready because I didn't know if I could handle that kind of pain, if all that was ready and we came home without her. But yeah, definitely, for me, it was very important that she have a name before I went into the hospital.
Our rest was in that God had heard, and so I did a search on what means God has heard in Hebrew, and the name Jaden came up.
I called one of my friends from many years ago. He is the only Christian high-risk specialist I have ever met in my 30 years.
My first appointment with Dr. Rowe was when I was at 20 weeks, and he told us that we needed to make it to 24.
Dr. Rowe at that point got together a team that was standing by 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
This is the first time in my life where I truly understood how helpless I was. And the only help I had was God, the only help.
In a routine C-section, there are 8 people in the operating room to assist at the surgery. In Stephanie's case, there were 27 people in the operating room to take care of all the various emergencies that could come up. So the rarity of this situation drew a lot of attention in Houston.
A local woman overcame incredible odds to become a mother. She had an extremely rare pregnancy, one that became a matter of life and death.
When I first saw Jaden, I was in awe. Relieved that she was doing as well as she was doing for being 1 pound 9 ounces. They told us that she was kicking and was trying to breathe when she came out. So she was in it for the fight.
Stephanie and Jeff and I sat right at this table when we diagnosed this, and I said, God's given you an opportunity to be a witness that you have no idea how it's going to affect people when we get through this.
When the world tells you there's no hope, that doesn't mean there is no hope. And there's always hope with God, and not to say that it's always going to turn out the way you want it, but when the world tells you there is no hope, you don't have to believe them.
Now to be home with her and to have her home with us, It's amazing. She's brought so much to our life that we just couldn't have ever even imagined.